Education expert Shaun Fuchs shares an honest story of acceptance and inclusivity in his memoir, Fush, a story of pride, respect and leadership. Now, this book chronicles how in a career spanning over 3 decades as an educator and headmaster, Shaun dedicated his life to changing the lives of others by fighting for their acceptance. Well, the educationalist is joining us via Skype to take us through his inspirational story as it details it in the book. Now, Shaun, a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. I can't say I've been up this early for quite a while, actually.
Tell me about it, but we're so glad that you're up to share this inspirational story with us. I mean, you say that every one of us, have a book in us. So take us through how you got to writing down yours.
Yeah, I just felt at a point last year that there was so much coverage in the media, and nothing on you guys, but there was so much coverage on negativity in schools. And I really wanted to tell the good stories because there are so many good stories out there. And that's really what the book was about.
I mean, why was it so easy and important for you to become so transparent and honest in telling your story in this book?
I think I've always been like that, for most of my life anyway. And it deals really with sort of creating inclusive environments, creating environments where people can feel safe. And it doesn't matter who you are, you regardless of your race, your creed, your sexual orientation, it's not an issue. And that's really what I wanted for my schools.
And do you want to take us through your childhood and how it was like going to an all-boys school?
Probably easier to start, I suppose, in my teenage years, where my father had always wanted my older brother, Garth, and myself to go to Jeppe High School for Boys in Johannesburg. And we actually moved from Hill at that point in time to Kensington, which was sort of up the road from Jeppe, and we got into Jeppe. And I think for me, going to Jeppe, I absolutely loved it. It was really the sport, the environment, the culture, the traditions. I certainly enjoyed that. I think one of the challenges that I had, obviously, was as I was going into my later teenage years, and really starting to deal with my own sexuality as a gay teenager, that really sort of started, I suppose, where you start questioning things. And in the 80s, there wasn't much support, was there? There wasn't social media, there wasn't the awareness that there is today. And it was a very difficult time for me. And I really, I always remember that. And later on, when I became a teacher and certainly when I became a headmaster, I wanted to make sure that my own students didn't go through the same things that I went through, and that they would certainly feel comfortable and have a safe space in their school and really just love going to school.
You say that it was a very difficult time for you being a gay person. Difficult in what sense? In the sense that, there was not acceptance, you were not accepted as you are, and perhaps fast forward to later years in your life, perhaps the environment wasn't so conducive for you to be who you are.
Yeah, most definitely. It was a very different time, and you didn't know anyone else that was. I always thought I was the only person that was in my school that was gay. Ironically, my best friend today, and I talk about it in the book, we're incredibly close friends. He is as well. We're both in education. We both became headmasters. He was very heavily involved in working at Oprah Winfrey's school, her school for girls. So you realize that you're not on your own. And again, I think that's what the book's about. I mean, I got WhatsApp this morning from a past student that read the book, and he absolutely loved it. And I mean, when I read the response that sort of has come out, the reviews from how the book has had an effect on people, it's quite leveling, actually.
Quite leveling it is, and heartwarming, I should add, and the fact that you managed to find your sense of purpose in your life. And you say that one of your greatest passions in life is improving or making better the lives of young people. Tell us how.
I don't just think it's me. I think every teacher almost has that intrinsically sort of in their DNA, that they want to make lives better for people, and that's why they become teachers. And I think that's why I became a teacher.
All right, now let's talk about inclusion, especially in school. What kind of conversations should learners and teachers and headmasters, educators, as it were, should be having about this and standing up against bullying?
Yeah, again, it's about creating an environment. So sadly, it is something that exists and will continue to exist. And what was important for me was getting the concept, the environment we need to be safe. And I think by doing that, the bully ultimately becomes isolated and is the only one, is actually the exception. And that makes it very uncomfortable for bullies in a school environment.
I mean, I would imagine how difficult it would be preaching the anti-bullying message for bullies and those who are not so well versed about issues around sexuality, about issues of homosexuality. How do you navigate around those issues?
You have to be honest and transparent. You know, it's not just about a gay rights thing. It's about a human rights thing. We are human. It's about we have the most unbelievable constitution. We have an incredible Bill of Rights, and all that I've done is lived our constitution. That's it. As simple as that. And that's the message that needs to go out.
Now, just before I let you go, Shaun, take us through the mark and the legacy that you want to leave as an educator and as a headmaster. That's
such a difficult question, because you don't always, you just get on and do your job. You don't think you leave a mark or a legacy, but you get that feedback from your students. And for me, probably about inspiring people and hopefully making, people's lives a little bit better.
All right, so what are you hoping readers will take away from this book?
I've obviously read that book so many times now, having written it and gone through it and the edits and that. And every single time, I think it's a great read. It's going to challenge you. It's going to take you back. It's going to take you back to sort of the 80s of when certainly I was growing up. It's going to make you think, and it's going to, it relates to a lot of things. And I think, and it's an easy read. When I wrote the book, a friend of mine who's an English teacher, Rose Morris, just said to me, "How many books have you read?" I said, "I haven't read that many, sadly." And she said, "That's exactly the point. Write it so that it's easy and comfortable to read." And that's exactly how I wrote it. And that's the style. And I really think your readers will enjoy reading it.
Well, I'm so sure of that fact. And, Shaun, I've interviewed so many authors on this show, and most of them are so critical of their own work. So just looking back and reading your own piece of magic, as it were, what is it that you feel that you should have left out or you should have added into this book?
What is it, sorry, that I feel I should have added into the book?
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that you feel you left out or you shouldn't have added in this book? Just analyzing your own piece of work.
Yeah, no, I think I'll save that for book 2.
And we're hoping to host you again, as you will be taking us through book 2. Hey, thank you so much for your time.
Great, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, good stuff. All right, speaking to us about his book, Fush, a story of pride, respect and leadership. That's education expert and author Shaun Fuchs.